As a note, this video is gonna be released either right before the new standard rotation comes out or directly after. So this video may be outdated by the time it gets posted. Hope you enjoy. Good afternoon, tricksters, and welcome to Spriteposting. In this series, I'll build a variety of decks, all with one common ingredient: sprites. What are sprites, you might ask? Well, sprites are an engine that consists of 5 very specific cards. We're gonna always max them out, and what these cards do? Well, they summon a lot of Spritelings, and they make them big. The early game strategy, pretty much, is to spam the board with these sprites, stalling for our mid to late game payoffs, and the deck engine can consistently summon 2 to 4 sprites, and usually makes them 3/3 on turn 4, using the Sprite Mother. The nice thing about this engine is it spams Spritelings, which are basically just 0/0 base stats. However, they have double spirit, which are basically 1/1 tokens. So it allows for keyword spams as well as producing units that have an increased power. It also allows for the ability to spam the board early to protect against unit aggro decks, such as like Misfortune decks that summon a ton of 1-drop units that like to attack and try to burn you out. Now, one of the more interesting things about this engine is how it utilizes 0 champions in just a singular region. This allows it to be paired with almost anything in the game, because you can just throw a second region into the deck. You could throw any champion you want pretty much and try to make it work. This is also notable because it allows the engine to be used across all 3 decks in a best of 3 environment. I play in an Aegis League, and in this league it requires you to bring a best of 3 lineup, which means you need 3 decks that can't share any champions, it can't share the region combination. So while all 3 decks can have Ionia, which is where the Spritelings take place, the second region needs to be different. And, you know, being just Ionia, you can throw any region you want in it. Also, being based out of Ionia, it allows the usage of very powerful cards that are in the region that support the deck as well. Now, this brings me on to the theme of the episode. This is the deck that we are playing today. The deck is called Xolaani Turbo. This is a deck that focuses around our Spritelings and the fact that they do have an increased power, so when they die, they buff up our unit Xolaani. Now, every sprite that dies makes Xolaani 2/2 stronger. Another benefit for this is it utilizes Kale as a champion. Kale is another unit that benefits from increased power. The other champion in the deck, Lilia. Lilia is more kind of engine. She improves the sprite core, but one of the things that we're going to be doing in this deck that isn't going to be relevant in every other deck in the series is Lilia is a champion. So we can't play her in all 3 decks in a best of 3, so it kind of requires us to kind of mix and match what decks Lilia fits best in. Since this is the first deck, this was the deck that was built around this concept originally, so Lilia is going to be a part of it because this is kind of like a throwback to the good old days. I have to show off the best build, just to frame what the series is going to be pretty much. Now let's hop on into the decks to see what the process is like. So to begin, we have the core engine. This engine's going to be relevant in every deck. It's going to consist of our 5 mishmash cards. These consist of the Spritelings, which is our 1-drop. You know, of course, you can't do this without the Spritelings. We have our 2-drops, which are the 2-drop Harvest, which is a landmark that summons a Spriteling, and in the second turn, it can put a unit to sleep. This pairs really well with our Petal Pixie as our other 2-drop, which on summon summons a Spriteling. Now, the way this combo will end up working is turn 1, summon our 1-drop Spriteling. Turn 2, we would like to summon the landmark 2-drop Harvest, summon the Spriteling from there, and then turn 3 we summon our Petal Pixie, and then we put it to sleep with the 2-drop Harvest, which will wake it up next turn and summon another Sprite. And there, turn 4, we have our amazing 4-drop, which comes into the Sprite Mother. The Sprite Mother will then buff up all Spritelings everywhere by giving it an extra spirit stack to make all the Spritelings 3/3 power. It's really valuable, and it's the Sprite Mother, if you get the Mother asleep a few times using Liliad, using the Dewdrop Harvest, the sprites end up becoming like 6/6s. Like, it's insane how big they can get. Now, the last card in the engine is the Heart of the Tree. This card kind of works as like an alternate win condition. It summons a Spriteling, it grants all of our units Spirit, and then if it survives all 3 turns, it creates an 8-drop or higher that then gets its cost cut in half. That's notable because there are some, especially in the standard rotation that this video is being recorded in, there's a really good one, Adakon. You summon him as a 5-drop, he ends up just solo winning the game. It's like a second Xolaani, pretty much. Now, all these cards in every iteration of the lists are going to be at 3. At minimum 2 for like a Spritelings, but the rest, or like a Heart of the Tree, but the rest of the deck is entirely core, and they're all mandatory. Now, the other cards in Ionia that are valuable are going to be the support cards. Here we have simple cards. We have like Lilia the Champion that I mentioned before. We have Mr. Root, which on summon draws a card. Pretty valuable. You end up not wanting to summon him because turn 2 you want to summon the Landmark or the Petal Pixie. Turn 3 you're summoning another 2-drop. Mr. Root kind of is like insurance. Like, if your draws don't go well, you drop Mr. Root and he keeps you safe. The Portal Pioneer is another decent 2-drop. Not one that you really want to see, which is why it's in the support category. But it is mandatory in matchups that use landmarks, such as any temple deck, any Sunken Temple decks, such as Nyla Jana running around. And it also kind of is good against other like Heart of the Tree decks, so it's kind of valuable to have like 1 or 2 in the list. Sprite Dance is another really good card. This card recalls a unit and then grants spirit stacks equal to the spirit stacks that were on the unit to another unit. So if you recall a Sprite, like let's say you have 2 3/3 Spritelings, you can recall one of them, make the other one 6 power. Twin Disciplines is another valuable card. Just +3 attack or +3 defense. It can allow you to block a Nyla if your unit's slow. It can allow you to block Fearsomes. It's kind of a valuable card, especially right now. Another support card, the Blooming Bud. This card allows you to put a unit to sleep. This is a 3-mana fast speed spell, which allows you to kind of like stall out the game if your opponent attacks you with a unit that has like Overwhelm and like 12 power and you don't really have an answer for it yet. You put it to sleep, you get your units recovered, and then you can deal with it next turn. Now, it's not Ionia without Deny. Deny stops any spell or skill. It's just an insanely good card, and it's very important. Now, those are just the Ionia support cards. In this deck specifically, Lilia works fine. We're playing most of these cards. We're not playing the... Actually, I think we are playing all of them. We're playing 1 Portal Pioneer. So it's pretty much all these cards are somewhat relevant. But again, we don't want to max out on these cards because they're more our support. Now, moving on to the Targon cards in our deck. We don't have many of them. We only have about 5 Targon cards, but they are all very important. Chip is a unit, a 1-drop, that turns into a 3/3 as soon as we drop a landmark. This is very important in the Nyla Dana matchup, because if you drop Chip turn 1, they summon Nyla, you're able to summon the Dewdrop Harvest, and Chip can block and kill Nyla. This is extremely important. It also is good against fearsomes, just being a 3-power unit that can block on turn 2. This deck cannot produce a fearsome blocker until turn 4 when we get our Sprite Mother. So the only way we can do it is through Twin Disciplines and Chip, pretty much. Another card, we're playing the Targonian Tellstones. It's just a Hush producer, pretty much. We can use it to invoke, we can use it to buff. Most of the times it's Hush, and it's pretty good. Black Shield is used as a secondary protection spell that we have. It is able to protect our other Targon card that I'm about to talk about when we summon it. But it's pretty much the whole point of it, just to keep the bombs safe. And now, the bombs that we're trying to protect. One of which is we're running Kale at 2 copies. Kale is a pretty good card. We're using a lot of increased power, and it's important that Kale hits the board. She's pretty much almost always flipped when she hits the board, or close to being flipped. Like once you drop her, you attack, and then she's 11 power. The problem is Kale doesn't really provide too much value as a 5-drop. So we're only running 2 copies. The ratio can be mixed up a bit. I feel like 2 is the best scenario. And then the other card that we have, the biggest bomb, the namesake of the deck, Xolaani, the Bloodweaver. This card is the core. This deck is built to level Xolaani as quickly as possible. The deck usually can flip Xolaani turn 6, but more frequently it flips it by turn 8. Turn 8, if we have the attack token, we summon Xolaani, and we back it up with either a Deny or a Black Shield. And Xolaani and Protection, almost nothing can beat. What are you going to do when you have a 16/16 that produces other 16/16s that can all swing with Overwhelm? There's almost nothing you can do with a Deny in the back pocket. So the whole deck kind of boils around to summoning Xolaani and OTKing. That's pretty much everything this deck desires. So moving on, what we want to mulligan for, kind of, is we're going to try to mulligan for like our Harvest, our Sprite Mother is important, our Petal Pixies, all those are really important. In certain matchups, it's possible to be really greedy. So if we see something that we're playing against, like an Udyr Morgana, we know we're going to need to see a Xolaani in our hand at some point in the game. So what we can do is we can opt to keep the Xolaani in our opening hand, because we know they're not going to kill us before we can get the turn 7. Now, it slows down our Xolaani level, but it is extremely important to be able to just have her in hand as our, just in case we could just drop it and start doing our stuff. Anyways, now that we have the deck concept running around, we may as well move right on into the games. So, for the first game, we are going to be playing Kale Lilia, of course, into the Janna Nyla. This is one of the matchups that I think is favorable for sprites. I've had a lot of practice on it, and our opening hand is extremely favorable into Janna Nyla. We have more than enough ways to spam our board with sprites to keep our health steady, keep our health alive, but we also have ways like the Mother in order to buff up those sprites. So what this game comes down to, we have a perfect 1, 2, 3, 4, and Chip just makes this hand flawless. Now usually Chip is a lot better if we have attack token on one. In this matchup, purely because they dropped Janna 2, we dropped the landmark, and they can't really attack with Nyla without the risk of killing Nyla. But either way, Chip is still a really good unit, as it's just a 3/3. And he can't really do much better than a 3/3 on turn 2. Chip also is paired with the slide mark to make Now, if they didn't have any units, it would be effectively 5 damage on board on turn 2, which for a deck isn't that bad for a deck that likes to play a lot of late game win cons. Now, our plan here is pretty much just to pass. Our goal here is just to not take as much damage as possible. We already took one's fine. And they're going to keep summoning units and keep swinging damage into us. We're going to try to block as much of the damage as possible without kind of dying. And Brash is a little difficult for us to deal with right now. Ideally, in this scenario, I'm looking to not block with the chip. But the moment they drop the second one, I know chip has to die here. I try to just throw out another blocker. I don't want to take the 3 damage from the border. So my plan is to kind of just sacrifice one of my sprites off. We get a lot of sprites. I can't block that other dude yet, so we're just gonna let them hit us for a little bit. I don't want to take all 6 though. And also, the sprite dying means when I draw Xolaani later, if I draw Xolaani later, but I'm running 3 of it. I'm running a few draw cards, it's pretty consistent. The Xolaani win con with a sprite dying is just that much more important. So we're going to put our Petal Pixie to sleep. This will allow us to get another sprite, and now we get our mother on board. Now our mother makes all of our units brash blockers. That is extremely important, because now we can block for the rest of the game on these blockers. Now, Nyla flipped obviously doesn't do too much here. Like, it'll turn all my units to not brash blockers, but still, it's still valuable. Here, I don't attack. Again, I kind of want to play on the defensive. I probably could attack there, and it's probably right too, but I kind of want to stay back. We have the tree in hand, which was an amazing draw. And now we just drew a Xolaani, which is only going to make our hand that much stronger. Now I kind of want these sprites to die. I want as many things to die as possible, just so Xolaani flips that much quicker. The problem in this matchup is Aftershock. I kind of have to hope they don't drop an Aftershock on me. The tree obviously is rough. But here, the way I'm blocking this is I kind of want to make the Petal Pixie a Xolaani buff. So my plan is here to Sprite Dance onto my Spriteling, buff up the Pixie, and kill as many units on board as possible. This does lose the Mystic Shot or the Divine Whirlwind. However, I'm okay taking that risk. I'm blocking, I'm saving the 3 health anyways. So if they want to drop a Mystic Shot on my Petal Pixie isn't doing anything else for the rest of the game. Now it's just a 4 power unit, but I get the free trade. I could resummon the Sprite. Makes me really happy. I'm in such a good spot. I'm only at down 4 health. And we're about to turn into a tree drop. I see that. And I know they're about to draw 4, and I am frightened as to what they can draw. If they draw an Aftershock here, I'm not feeling good. But I still drop it anyways, because if they want to Aftershock this, good for them. It means I'm not getting a unit Aftershock, and I'm okay with that. I see them drop Ruined Rex, and this is like a dream come true. I'm okay with 2 of my units dying. That makes me feel real good. Now Ruined Rex could have killed 3, and that would have been like really bad for me. But the way it targeted it only killed 2. I get the heal, I get to summon another sprite. It wasn't Aftershock, is what makes me so happy about that. And they're just summoning 1 extra damage. Now they're going to get more cards, and Aftershock could drop next turn. Which, again, I would not be very happy about, but I now have a chip that I can summon. My plan is if they drop Nyla, I'm kind of debating what to do. There's many options. Like, I could just let the Nyla hit. I can silence Nyla here and drop, like, Kale. I could just silence Nyla, drop Chip. But I end up going for a drop Xolaani. I try to think what can punish a Xolaani summon here. And the only real cards that do it are Removal Spell and then like the 5 mana card, the 3 mana card that deals 5 once you've played cards, but they would need 2 of it. So I'm feeling really comfortable with Xolaani drop here. And I'm kind of okay if Xolaani dies, because I know I have a tree coming. As long as I stay healthy, I don't think the tree's gonna miss. The tree can miss. There are some really bad cards the tree can generate, and if it generates 2 of them, it feels bad. But I'm gonna block this way. And by blocking like this, it gives me a unit on board that Xolaani can turn. It also flips Xolaani and makes Xolaani 4 extra health, which is like insane. So here, Xolaani's gonna basically just drop 1. Xolaani's gonna go to 10 health if this is how it stands. Because Xolaani gains 4 from the 2 buffed units dying, and then loses 5 from Nyla. And I'm kind of just waiting, seeing what they do. I'm okay taking the 4 going down to 11. Now, I don't like being at 11 here, but I want to keep the unit in the back because it is valuable. A Xolaani alone is scary. However, a Xolaani with another unit on board is frightening. They have to answer. If they do not answer either one of my units on board, then the game is just over. It doesn't matter what they do. What I do, I can just open attack and it's pretty much game over. But they do have a full hand. They have 7 cards in hand. They can pretty much stop me. Ruined Rex here. They got probably the best Ruined Rex spread it could have been. Putting 3 on Xolaani and 1 on my other unit. Makes me a little sad. A second Xolaani means this game is basically over. I could just drop chip Xolaani. The game ends right there. But then the tree pulls out Otacon. That is... If they remove Xolaani here, I summon Otacon, game over. If they don't remove Xolaani here, I could just attack. I could buff Xolaani up with my Targonian Telstones, making a 9/9, and there's no way they could remove a 9/9, or a 9 health unit. And they would need to remove 2 9 health units, because the Xolaani would be at 22. So they do end up removing my first Xolaani. They spend all of their mana, so I know they've got nothing left in the tank. I drop Otacon, and I swing for lethal. There isn't really much more complicated than that. Nothing beats this. So for the second game, we are going to be paired against Fearsomes. This is more specifically Mistwraith Fearsomes, because at the time of this recording, Mistwraith Fearsomes is the most popular variant. And our hand is quite honestly not looking very good. Our whole goal and what we're looking for is we're kind of looking to get 3 health Spritelings across the board, which we have in the Sprite Mother. But we have no way to generate the Spritelings. I figured the first game was a good example of what one of the better hands can look like, and this game would be a good example of what one of the okay-ish, not really that great, but an okay hand looks like. Now, a weird thing that we have is Chip alone is a fearsome blocker if paired with a landmark. And in the early stages of this game, we do not have a way to... that we want to get a landmark. Chip getting gloomed is fine. It's honestly fine, because that means they're not summoning a scary fearsome unit that's going to deal damage to us. We kind of want to keep our health as high as possible. Our plan here now is we have the mothers. We have more than enough mothers that we need. 2 mothers is really good because it allows us to prevent against the Noxus spider that lowers all our health by 1, or all our power by 1. which means 2 mothers going off means it's hard to knock us out of fearsome range. Kale is a really good rip here off the top. My game plan right now is to try to save mana for Blooming Bud and summon this mother. Now, Blooming Bud is kind of a neat card because, again, it sleeps a unit. However, that slept unit still counts for me summoning a landmark. So what I can do here is I can put a unit to sleep, even if it's their unit, and Chip will buff up. Now they summoned the Frenzied Skitter, that's the spider I was talking about, lowering all the attacks by 1. Now I was able to summon the mother afterwards, and also, I said Noxus. It's red. I'm sorry, it's a Shadow Isles card. But I just knew it was red. But being able to have mother on the board is really good. And their game plan is to try to double summon it. I don't want to take the... I'm doing the math right now. I don't want to take the 10 damage that they're going to deal to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it to sleep, not caring that when it wakes up it's going to lower all my attacks by 1 again, because they won't have the attack token. So I'm okay with that. And I really don't want to take any damage. So I'm perfectly okay blocking here. Now, I have kind of a useless Sprite Dance, but Chip is now back to 3 power, which is very relevant. I have a 3rd mother on the board, which I'm just going to go ahead and snap drop. Kale is a good card, but it doesn't quite do what I want. And I'm just going to pass. I'm okay passing here. Them on 3 mana. Perfectly fine. And we just got our way to sprites. That Petal Pixie could not have been at a better time. Not only could it not have been at a better time, but being able to pair it as well as a mother is really good. Now what they did is they summoned the Frenzied Skitter before copying. This allows me to destroy the landmark. Now I don't know if they were planning on copying it, but I was able to get the landmark destroyed, and now I'm able to summon another mother. So, this will allow me to clear off all the Skitters. I get to kill both Skitters, as well as take 5, but the taking 5 is fine. I blocked in the worst way possible, but it ended up, like, they could have just done it to the other one. It's okay. They have 1 Frenzy Skitter to survive. It's not the greatest, but it's not the end of the world. So my plan's get the Petal Pixie on board. They're gonna Gloom my mother, and I have to decide, is it worth it to put the mother to sleep? I can Sprite Dance to keep the mother alive, or I can play around Kale and just drop a Kale this turn. I decide it's actually better to recall the mother, put it on the Petal Pixie to give Petal Pixie Fearsome Blocker status, and then I can summon the Sprite Mother back to make my Spritelings even stronger. And that's very valuable. So we're able to get rid of the Frenzied Skitter. The way they block that makes me believe they don't have another way to lower power. Because why would they sacrifice that for a 3 power unit, is what's going on in my head. So, I see they have 10 mana now. They could Harrowing. It would be bad, but I'm not, like, crying that it's the end of the world. But then they end up just summoning the Allegiance Mystery Summoner. And this, I am perfectly fine with. I have enough fearsome blockers to block all of these Misdreaves. For some reason, they just attack with the 1. I feel like that's kind of a waste. Why would you attack with just 1? And at this point, the game is pretty much over. I'm able to establish a board consistent, powerful. We give all our things Spirit, make everything an attacker, and we swing for a lot of damage. This isn't technically game, because they can block, they just take 2. But it's pretty much game. I'm okay just taking this, eating it all. I am more than happy with this. I know that I have the heart of the tree if they have anything to try to mess with me. They just summon a Mist Wraith, and now they summon Nocturne. And this is where the game gets interesting. I do have to be a little careful of Harrowing here, because Harrowing will make all of my units, well, minus, like, probably 6 power, I think, because Frenzied Skitters. No, actually, never mind. I lied. They would all just go minus 4, because I forgot I killed a couple of the Elysian Smith Wraith summoners. But I dropped Kale, which flips Kale, and now Kale pretty much wins the game. I decided to keep myself a little bit insured. I sleep Nocturne to make sure all my units are able to always block Fearsomes no matter what. They summon a few Mist Wraiths, and from this point, there's almost nothing they can do. I can block favorably. I can get this tree proc. Oh, funny enough, I could grab the Ice Quake. This Ice Quake will kill all of his units, and all of my units will live. It's just funny how that works out. Well, my Petal Pixie doesn't live, but like, who really cares at that point? That was basically a one-sided ruination. We get to summon Lilia. We'll get to put a unit to sleep. And from there, the game is just over.
I know, Sprite Mother. I know
Rejoice, for evil has been defeated.
Now that we've seen the deck in action, let's go over the strengths and the weaknesses of it. I've been working on this deck for multiple standard rotations, and I've kind of been refining the list a lot. So much so that it's kind of become my pet deck, if you couldn't tell. Since the deck does run very little interaction, however, it gets raced down by elusives. If you look at this match history that we see here, I went 7-3 throughout of it, and this very last game played was versus elusives, the one at the very top. I kinda got slaughtered. It was like a 5-turn game where I just got slaughtered by it, and there was not really much I can do. Another card this deck struggles against is the Aloof Travelers, as you see in another one of the losses in it. Mordekaiser Nora is a really hard matchup. The Aloof Travelers being able to discard my Xolaani, my tree, kinda just makes it a Sprite-only deck, and it's hard to really win with the Spritelings. They're kinda just a good stall tactic. A good stall tool, kinda like how Nora is. Nora just summons a bunch of free units, and the Sprites summon a bunch of free units. Decks that you see that it did very well against, however, are going to be the Nyla Janna, as well as Nocturne Fearsomes, or just Fearsomes in general. Mist Wraith Fearsomes, I guess, more specifically, but it does well against Fearsomes as well, from the previous rotation. A deck that this does always beat is Overwhelms. I did not get any matchups in them in these 10 games, but my practice into Overwhelms has just been like a resounding 100%. Now, Nyla Janna Fearsomes, it's more of like 60-40 in our favor. That we should win it, maybe 65-35, but we should win it, but it's not guaranteed. In Overwhelms, we have to draw the worst hands possible for us to not beat it. They don't really have an answer. Our units get huge. We swarm the board enough. They can't really outpace us. It's really hard for them. We have a couple answers like Sleep, and we have the Tellstones to be able to silence. They really just can't do much.
You have nothing to
And
gain.
since this is my pet deck, it inspired me to run this series. And if Lilia survives the rotation that's coming in the next few days, expect many more of this style of video. Or even when Lilia gets freed from the rotation
I will.
and she's able to come back, expect many more videos, including all different region combinations, all different everything, champions, regions. It has been so fun to brew these decks, and I look forward to making more of these. So I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you on the other side.